Hello and welcome everybody to today's episode of the JBA All-In Podcast.
Our podcast is currently streaming on Podbean and YouTube. The JBA All-In Podcast is your one-stop sports shop podcast for news around the sports world.
My name is Jack,
My name is Brendan.
and we have a very stacked lineup of sports news and segments today, so let's jump right into it.
All right, time for the hot topic, everybody. So for our first topic, Le'Veon Bell just signed with the Kansas City Chiefs, one of his three finalists. The other two were the Bills and the Dolphins. So, Jack, what does this mean, one, for Le'Veon Bell as a player, and two, the Chiefs team? Because we know that the Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year, and they definitely came into the season with Super Bowl aspirations once again. Jamie Williams opted out, but they immediately replaced him with the stud rookie Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and now he's got Le'Veon Bell to bolster that backfield some more. They had disappointing loss to the Raiders last week. So how do you think this affects their Super Bowl chances, and how else do you think this might affect Le'Veon Bell's performance as a player?
First off, I gotta say, where are they getting the money from? What is up with the Chiefs in their cap situation? They've somehow re-signed and signed like their whole team, which is just crazy. Someone's got to stop them. But this is actually really good for them. Not good for Clyde Edwards-Helaire because Le'Veon has a chance, and he's skilled enough to take that starting job from him, which I think is going to happen because Le'Veon is a skilled player. I think everyone forgets that. Just because on the Jets, everyone was kind of like, oh, Le'Veon's washed up. And the only reason why Frank Gore was starting over him is because, Adam Gase really does love Frank Gore and loves to mess everything up. But this is good for the Chiefs. This makes them an even better team, and they're already in the best team in the league, and they're getting Le'Veon Bell, who if he can go back to the level he was while he was on the Steelers, it's going to be every other team. No one else has a chance if Le'Veon can play really well. It's just a scary team overall, and this makes him even scarier.
Yeah, one of the only thing the Chiefs really lacked last season, even though they won the Super Bowl, was like a really, really strong running game. Damian Williams is more of a receiving back, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire has been a great receiving back for them so far. And Le'Veon Bell, he's also an elite receiving back, so I think he'll mix well with this offense. I think he'll be able to get a lot of production for fantasy owners. And so he's a worthy pickup if he does win the starting job from Helaire. I don't know if he'll win the starting. I don't know if he'll be starting this week against the Bills, but he could potentially in the next couple of weeks win the starting job back, or win the starting job from Helaire. They're both really good though. In terms of the Chiefs, this just makes because Le'Veon Bell, he's been very injury prone the last couple of years. So if he goes down with an injury, then it kind of all goes to waste because they didn't really get anything else out of it. They just signed him. So, but even if he does go down an injury, it's just like I feel like it's a risk you're willing to take because your team's already good enough that you could still potentially win the Super Bowl without him. And if he is healthy for you, that ups your chances by a whole lot more because he's still really good. He may not be on the level that he was on the Steelers, and even if he doesn't play to that level, he can still be a really, really good running and receiving back for them. And I think this definitely helps them out in terms of the chances at going back-to-back for the Super Bowl. So we had our first ever Tuesday night football game, I believe, in the history of the NFL, at least the modern era. And so it was Bills versus Titans. And so it was to put it lightly, a disappointing loss for the Bills, getting absolutely destroyed. They got blown out I was just kind of sad. They got blown out by 26 points, 42-16. For the Titans, on the other hand, I don't know if a lot of people expect them to win this game. They came out and they proved to everyone they're a legit team. I think they had a little bit of advantage, because they had an extra week to prepare, kind of like a bye week, while the Bills were coming off a close win against the Raiders. So just overall, I think that this is definitely a great one for the Titans. But Jack, I have a question for you, one regarding the Bills, one regarding the Titans. So for the Titans, are they the clear front runner for the division right now in the AFC South? They have it kind of on lock now? And then my question for the Bills is, are the Bills still a lock for that division, or are the Patriots catching up to them? They may not have been a lock before. I think some people thought that the Patriots would still potentially win that division. But after the first 4 games, I think most people considered the Bills a lock for that division. But now with this blowout loss, what do you think of the just what do you think in terms of both these teams' positions in the division right now?
This game really proved the haters wrong. A lot of people out there were kind of knocking the Titans. I think pretty much everyone, really thought the Bills were going to take this game. I'll start with the Bills. The Bills are still a lock for that division, in my opinion. The Patriots are definitely going to finish second, but there's no way the Patriots pass them because the Bills are still a better team. It's just that they fell to the Titans, who are a really good team. And this game really proves that. A lot of people were hating on the Titans. Everyone thought they were a good team, but I don't think anyone thought that Tannehill could really come out and play. And, Derrick Henry's a phenomenal running back, but I don't think anyone expected him to play like he is right now. And really just proving the haters wrong. Are they a lock for the AFC South? I don't want to knock on the Colts. I think they're going to have a good record. But the Titans are a lock. I expected them to finish first. It was really from Titans or Colts. But I think at this point it's a guarantee for the Titans to win that division. But the Colts can still come back from behind. But I think it's a guarantee for the Titans to win the division. And not a guarantee for the Bills to win the division. But they definitely are. So.
All right. So on the topic of the Titans, I agree with you there. I think they're a lock. And I'm a Colts fan. I mean, I do think that the Colts could still potentially come back. And I also think the Patriots could potentially come back from they're both down 2 games in their divisions right now. The Colts, they're just like, their defense is amazing. Excluding that fluky Jaguars game, the most they've held a team to was the amazing Cleveland Browns offense of 23 points. 9 of the points Cleveland scored because of Philip Rivers. But overall, I think that the Colts team is going to be held back from a division title because of Philip Rivers. Philip Rivers, he's been not playing great. He's still an upgrade over to Jacoby Brissett by definitely, but it's not by that much. It's definitely not an upgrade worth $25 million. So this is why I think the Titans are going to end up coming on top in this division. They'll probably finish 10-6, 11-5. But I feel like I could still see it going to the Colts, and I could still see the division for the Bills going to the Patriots, but I would predict these two teams to both win the division. I think the Titans are definitely on the right track. I think the Bills will definitely bounce back after this game. They're playing the Chiefs this week, which is tough. I mean, winning that game would be huge, but even if they don't, they got 2 straight divisional games against the Jets. They should win that, and the Patriots, they also should win that. That's at home. So, I mean, I feel like they should still win this division. But for the Titans division, on the other hand, I feel like the divisional games in Week 10, Week 12 are going to be huge for both the Titans and the Colts because they're playing each other in 2 out of 3 weeks. They play Week 10 in Tennessee, and then Week 12 they play in Indianapolis. And they each play really, really strong teams in between those 2 games. The Titans are playing at the Ravens, and then the Colts, on the other hand, are playing at home against the Packers. So 2 games that I expect those two teams to lose. So those 2 divisional games are going to be really, really important. I expect that to be a sweep either way. I either see the Colts sweeping the Titans or I see the Titans sweeping the Colts. But overall, I think the Titans will end up coming on top in that division, and the Bills, I think, are okay, and they'll still win their division. And then for our final topic in the hot topic, we have NLCS and ALCS. There's been some crazy action, and actually right now Astros just forced Game 7. They were down 3-0 and they've stormed back. They just won and forced the Game 7. Crazy performance by the Astros. I think most people who watch baseball don't want them to succeed this season, but I, as a Dodgers fan, and I think also people who aren't Dodgers fans, want to see the Dodgers beat them in the World Series for payback. But right now the Dodgers are down 3-1. They had one crazy game where they scored a ton of runs, but that was most of them came only in the 1 inning. So the runs have been too clunched together. So overall, they're still in a tough situation. They're down 2-0 right now in the top of the 3rd. So just Jack, in terms of the ALCS, who do you expect to win that Game 7 now that it is going to Game 7? Do you expect the Rays to win that one, or do you expect Astros to win that one? And then also in the NL side of things, I mean, I wouldn't ask you to predict who's going to win that because I feel like, even though the Dodgers still do have a chance, I feel like the right prediction here is to predict the Braves. So what I will ask you this is, how much of a chance do you think the Dodgers still have at the NLCS title?
All right, so I'll start with the ALCS. I really think this is going to the Rays. The Astros do have the momentum. But I think the Rays are going to come out here and play good baseball. They're angry. They're mad right now. Game 7 was just forced, and they're going to play like they've never played before. And I think they're going to come out here. They're going to hit the ball well. They're going to pitch well. But the Astros do have a good chance. They're a pretty good team. So it's going to be a really fun game to watch. In NLCS, the Dodgers, probably the best pitching staff in baseball, forgot how to pitch. Definitely the best offense in baseball, forgot to hit the ball. They forgot what a ball was. That one game where we scored 11, I think it was 11 runs in the first inning.
Yep,
That's
the
how
record too.
that's the record. That's how we're supposed to play, not how we're playing right now. And it's just pretty disappointing to watch, the Dodgers play like this right now. I think if they're going to come back, they got to start scoring runs in this game right now. By the time this video comes out, it will be over. So either the Dodgers have gone home or they force another game. But it's going to be tough for the Dodgers to come back, but I definitely think they can do it. They're a great team. It's just that they got to start playing baseball right now.
Yeah, and they've, this is the 4th year in a row, and they've been, arguably the best team in baseball this year. I think it's definitely clear they were the best team in baseball over the course of the regular season. Last year as well, I believe that they were the best team in baseball. And then for the past 4 years, well, this will be the 4th year if they do end up going home in this NLCS. They just haven't been able to produce come October. I think 2017, I think they would have won that without the whole Astros Gene scandal with that unfair advantage, because there's, with 2 extra inning games in Houston that went the Astros' way. I think you don't, if they don't have that unfair advantage, I think that shifts the tides a little bit. But they still lost, and then they also got smoked by the Red Sox the very next year in the World Series, and they lost to the Nationals, who ended up going on to win the World Series, I may add, though, in the divisional round. So the past 3 years, they've lost the team that ended up going on to win it all. And if they lose to the Braves, I would expect the Braves to win it all this year. I think beating the Dodgers is a feat that, even when the Dodgers are playing poorly, it's still a great feat to accomplish. I think it definitely proves that they're worthy of a potential World Series victory. And then on the AL side of things, for the Astros and the Rays, this is a tough one for me, because I would want to say the Astros because they've been playing so well the last 3 games and they have all the momentum. But they were below 500 on the regular season. It's tough for me to say that I think they'll. It's tough for me to say that I think they'll win it, but I think that they'll win it, which really makes me want to see the Dodgers get past. Well, obviously because I'm a Dodgers fan, but even just if I wasn't a Dodgers fan, to see the Dodgers get past the Braves, to see that rematch, that'll be probably the most watched World Series in forever. Maybe since I don't know. Probably if that goes 7 games, that'll definitely be probably the most watched baseball game of all time. But so I predict the Astros to come out in that game 7, and then I don't think the Dodgers will be able to get out of this hole. I think there's still hope, because let's think about like this: the Dodgers, they're going on like a weekend road trip to Atlanta, and they just need to win 3 straight games to sweep in order to get the number 1 seed. Simple, right? That seems like it's very doable, and they've won 3 games in a row over the course of the regular season. They're also the only MLB team who hasn't lost 3 games in a row all season. So I think that they have a chance, and I really, really hope that they're able to get out of this series and go to the World Series. But I just don't know. It'll be tough. Even if they do lose, though, whether it's this game, Game 6, Game 7, whatever, they still got a great young core of players with Mookie, with Belly, with Corey Seager. They've got young prospects on the way up: Rios, Lux, Justin Mays, young Walker Buehler, Gonzalez, Gratterall. So you got a ton of young budding stars there and some already superstars out there in Los Angeles. So whether you win it this year or not, you've got plenty more years of great baseball to come. But this is, I think, the best opportunity they've had in a while, because the Yankees were the number 1 threat going into the season, and they did not play like we all thought they would. If they should definitely win all this year. They should have. If they do end up winning, this is what I'll be saying if we end up having to talk about them losing. But hopefully they can get out of it. They should. They're the favorite right now. They should be able to win the World Series this year, but it's going to be tough to get us 3-1 hole. Let's move into our games of emphasis for the NFL Week 6 weekend. So our first game is the Green Bay Packers at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So this is going to be a very, 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 very entertaining game on Sunday. It's two teams in the NFC that currently look like they're on the way to the playoffs, most likely. Green Bay definitely, I think, and then Buccaneers, I think, will make the playoffs, but it's a little bit closer than Green Bay. Overall, I feel like this is just a game for Tampa Bay to prove himself because they've had some rough losses with the first game of the season losing to that division rival Saints pretty badly, and then the most recent game where it was a close game against the Bears, but Tom Brady forgetting the downs isn't a great sign. So this is definitely a prove it game for the Buccaneers. You don't have to win it; you just gotta make it close. I feel like if you want to prove that you're a true contender in the NFC, but if they get smoked, then I think that says a lot about the Buccaneers. So this is more of a game for the Buccaneers than the Packers. It's a prove it game for the Buccaneers here. So Jack, what are your thoughts on this game? And do you think the Buccaneers will prove that they are an NFC contender?
No. I say no chance that the Buccaneers win this game. They might come out, they might score a lot of points, but to me, there's no chance. Green Bay, I take back what I said about the Chiefs. Green Bay is the best team in football right now. Maybe not talent-wise, but they're definitely playing like the best team in football right now. So I think this is going to be an easy game for Green Bay. Not an easy game. I think this is going to be a closer game than most that Green Bay have had so far. But I still think this is going to be a win for Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers is going to have an amazing game. I think Devontae Adams is going to have a bounce-back game, especially after being injured. And I think it's just going to be a great game overall, but I still have Green Bay winning.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a good game. Brady versus Rodgers. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And then, this is a Green Bay team that has been smoking teams without Devontae Adams. So I feel like like Aaron Rodgers has been throwing to Walmart employees. I mean, they're professional NFL players, but you know what I'm saying. Like he's made Tonyan. Tonyan's one of the most added players right now in fantasy football because of what Aaron Rodgers has been able to do with him. Aaron Rodgers is still one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's not washed at all, unlike Phillip Rivers. And I think that with Devontae Adams back this game, they definitely should win this game. There's just no chance. They definitely should win this game, but I do think the Buccaneers can make it close. I don't think they'll make it close. I think this will be a double-digit deficit by the end of the game. But if they do make it close, then I definitely think that proves that they are a legit, I definitely think that proves that they're legit. But this is a prove it game. All right, for our next game of emphasis, we have the Chiefs at the Bills. So we were talking about this earlier for both teams. So this is a game for both teams coming off losses that I think they both thought going into the game they're going to win. The Chiefs, they're both 4-1. They're both kind of the number one team in their division right now, but they both got a team kind of nipping at their heels. The Bills got the Patriots and the Chiefs got the Raiders. So this is a game for both of them. I think the winner of this will be feeling really good about their stance in their divisional standings, and the loser might be feeling a little more stressed about their division right now and their kind of competitor for the division. So Jack, who do you think will win this game? The spread right now is 4.5 for the plus 4.5 for the Bills. So KC is favored, but do you think? So just overall, who do you think is going to win this game? And for the loser, how worried should they be if they do end up losing this game?
I really have the Chiefs winning this game. I think pretty much everyone does. Bills coming off of a tough loss, but I don't think the Bills Mafia should be worried. They're losing to two good teams. I personally don't think they're there yet in terms of Super Bowl, or Super Bowl contention. They're a good team. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to win the division, but I still have the Chiefs winning, especially after signing Le'Veon. I think he's going to have a good game. But I still have the Chiefs winning this game. Bills Mafia should not be worried. Because if they lose to these two good teams in it, especially if they make this game close, it's going to be good for the Bills. They're going to get better in the future. They're only going to become better. And, just Chiefs are going to win this game, but it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be closer than the last game. Titans versus Bills. I think the Bills are going to bounce back, and I think the Chiefs are going to bounce back after that loss to the Raiders.
I agree with everything you just said. But I would like to mention that this game I do think will be a lot closer than the 26-point deficit. But I don't think that means that the Titans are better than the Chiefs in any way. I still think the Chiefs are going to be a better team than the Titans if they win this, or if they lose this too. I think that Titans had advantages, kind of like they're coming off a bye, and then also this is with no preseason. This is still a little bit like week 1, week 5 was first 4 weeks being like the preseason. So that was kind of like the Titans' first game of the season, like in a week 1 scenario. Even though obviously it's not, it's not their first game of this season, but still, I think we still can't really. If a team like say for example like if the Titans play the Bills, doesn't mean that the Bills are done for, but it also doesn't make Titans doesn't make the Titans best team in the AFC either. So we can't overreact. The Titans, but we have to wait and see if this continues because we have to see if it becomes a trend between both teams. And then for our final game, we have the Browns at the Steelers. So 2 teams in the AFC North fighting for that division title. The Ravens are 4-1. The Browns are 4-1. The Steelers are currently 4-0. One of the last remaining undefeated teams, the Titans, the Seahawks, and the Packers are the last 4 remaining undefeated teams. And if they all win this week, it will make history in terms of the most undefeated teams through 6 weeks of the season, I believe, since the merger. Could be wrong about that, though. That's just an interesting factor there. But for this game, it's an important divisional matchup. The Browns are coming off a big win against the Colts. The Steelers are coming off a win against the, lackluster Eagles, but it was a convincing win. Probably a little bit closer than they would have liked. I think they definitely don't want, with their defense, I don't think they would have liked the Eagles to score 29 on them, but their offense looked really good. So just, Jack, who thinks they win this game is really all I ask you here. Who do you think is going to win this game, and how do you think it will have an effect on how the division plays out?
Now, this is a tough call. I think a lot of people would say the Steelers. This is pretty much the obvious pick here. Look out for Claypool to have another great game, but I think the Browns could shock the world. If Baker Mayfield can play well, he is an injury right now. He's questionable with chest injury, I believe. But if they can play like a good team, if they can play like the team that they're destined to be, I really think they can shock the world and take out the Steelers. But I still think the Steelers are favored. I still think the Steelers are going to win this game, but it's going to be a lot closer than most people think.
Yeah, I think it'll be a really entertaining game. I'm surprised it didn't there's no Sunday night game this week. So if there was, I feel like this should be the best. That would be the best game for it. But I think no Baker. I say no win for the Browns. But I do think, and with Baker, I do think the Steelers will win. But it'll be very close, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Browns came out on top. So let's move into our next segment. So for fact or fiction, we're just to review. I'm gonna make 3 statements to Jack. He's gonna tell me whether they're fact or they're fiction, and he's gonna do the same to me. So, we'll start out with Jack telling me 1 statement, and then we'll alternate until we get 6 total statements.
All right, statement 1. The Dodgers are screwed and will be going home sad and without a World Series again.
As much as I hate to say it, I said it earlier when we were talking about the NLCS, I do think they will lose the series. That's just my gut feeling right there. My heart wants to say no, fiction, but my gut and just me thinking about this logically, I'm going to say fact here, because I want to be proven wrong. I want to be proven wrong because I don't want to say fiction and then be proven wrong, just kind of going with my heart. But I would like to, because if I'm wrong by saying fact, I'm happy. But and then if I'm right, and then I'm right, but I'm still gonna be sad if they go home. It's 0-3 right now because the Braves just scored again. I will say fact on this one. They still have a chance, like I said, but I'm not feeling great about their chances right now. So Jack, for you, fact or fiction? The Titans are on par with the AFC Elites. So the Chiefs, the Ravens, the top of the top of the AFC. They are on par with those teams. They are up there with them. They're on level. Fact or fiction?
This is a tough call, but I think I'm one of the only real believers in the Titans. So I'm gonna say fact. And they can be there if they play well. I just think it really depends on how they perform this next game and how they perform down the line. But I think they could be there. I'm going to get clowned for saying this, but I'm going to say fact. But it could very easily be fiction. It could very easily not be as good as a team as, we could think or I'm thinking right now. But I think they have a chance to, shock everybody and become one of these great teams in the AFC, one of the AFC elite teams. So I'm going to say fact on this one, but, the consensus pick and probably the smarter pick is fiction, but I do have a feeling the Titans are going to be a really good team. All right, statement 2. Lamar Jackson can play at the level he did last season and will be able to maintain his play.
Okay, so for the first part of the season, we know that Lamar Jackson has not been playing like MVP Lamar Jackson. That generally happens with MVPs coming off seasons like that, breakout seasons. They don't necessarily, if someone goes from if they go from really good to superstar, they don't normally go and they win MVP or something. They're not normally as good as next season. Lamar Jackson's still one of the best QBs in the NFL. He's still someone that defenses are gonna game plan for, because of how elusive and dynamic he is. So I think that, I don't think he's gonna do as well as he did last season, but I do think he still will lead his team to a division title, and hopefully they can win a playoff game this year. But we'll see we'll see about that when it comes to playoff time. But overall, I think that they'll still lead his team to another division title, and he'll still be an elite quarterback, but not MVP quarterback like last year. And then for you, Jack, fact or fiction, the NFL MVP will be either Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson.
This is a tough call because both of them are phenomenal players and playing lights out. But I think at this point in the season, it's Aaron Rodgers. Russell Wilson kind of had a little bit of a dip last game. Not saying he had a bad game, he had a stellar game. But both of them are having one of the best seasons of their whole careers. Two vets, two amazing players, two future Hall of Famers. And I really think Aaron's going to be able to take this MVP award from Russ. I don't know, I was about to say Westbrook, but Russell Wilson, he could have won it last year. He's a favorite to win it this year, but I think Aaron Rodgers is going to keep playing better and better, especially with Devontae Adams back, who's going to be his number one option. But I think it's going to be a very close race. I think it's going to be an amazing and fun race to watch. All right, our next statement. Football is screwed due to COVID. The next season will have to be shut down. Now, this question doesn't really apply because there were some false tests, some false alarms. But I still do think it applies because a lot of teams are getting tested. We have had some positives. We had some false positives, but we've had a lot of players that, had to take a break or, games canceled because of COVID-19. So do you think that the virus will hinder the NFL season?
Over the first 5 weeks of the NFL season, we've seen a lot of games get postponed, and if that continues to happen, there's going to be no more bye weeks to put them at, and there's not going to be enough wiggle room for the NFL. So I think they're going to end up having to add a week 18 and then pushing the playoff, the wild card round back and division round back, et cetera, et cetera. They already canceled the Pro Bowl. I think they should probably still push the Super Bowl back one more week, give them the players a 2-week rest for the Super Bowl. I don't think they should still keep it on the set date. We'll see, but I do think this season will continue. I think they'll figure it out. Baseball figured it out. They had some struggles earlier on, and there hasn't been anything since. It looks like they're going to finish up. So I think the NFL will be able to figure it out. There'll probably be a couple more teams that have some staff members or players test positive, and some other games that have to be postponed. I think that's going to end up being a week 18. Besides that, I feel like the NFL season should be fine. So I'm going to say fiction on this one, Jack. And then for our final fact or fiction statement for you, Jack, the Warriors will be contenders again next season. Fact or fiction? They've got the number 2 overall pick. They've got Curry. Clay is coming back. They got Draymond. They got Wiggins. And they could potentially even trade that number 2 pick for another star. So just overall, do you think, fact or fiction, will they be a contender next season?
All right. Fact and fiction at the same time. It really depends on what happens with that second overall pick. if they can get someone like James Wiseman per se, then I think they could be a contender depending on how well they play. I think the smartest move if they want to contend this season, because their stars are getting up there in age, they're getting injured more and more. We don't know how they're going to perform. But I think trading it for maybe a star, a really good player, would help them a lot. But I think it just really depends on the draft, and I think they're going to go. They're going to use this pick. They're going to draft someone because I think they're going to start looking in the future. We don't know how Curry, Clay. We don't know how they're going to play. They're getting older. They're coming off of injuries. Clay coming off an ACL tear. Maybe I got that wrong. It's been a while since we've seen anything on Clay. I mean, they have been in practice so far. They've had full practices, but we really don't know how they're going to perform in games anymore. We really don't know if they're going to be the same level that they were before. So there's just a lot of question marks. At their highest, yes, they are a contender, but at their lowest, I can see them not even making the playoffs. I mean, that's a weird statement to say, but it really just depends on how their stars play, and it really just depends on what they do with that pick. And I think that's going to be the really important deciding factor.
So now time for Brendan's Fortune 4 picks. So I haven't done Fortune 4 since week 3, I believe. If I remember correctly. I did have a good week though. I went 3-0-1, which put me to 7-4-1 the season. I haven't know, or maybe I think I did weeks 1, 2, didn't do it week 3, and did it week 4. I think that's what happened, and then I just didn't do it last week in week 5. So yeah, but I'm 7-4-1. 7-4-1 this season. I know that. So hoping to get another winning record this week. So for my first pick, this is a pick I kind of think is an easy pick. This just really simple here. Packers -1 against the Buccaneers. I think this is an easy pick. The spread is one down from 2.5. I thought it'd go up. I just don't see the this is really close to a pick. This is really close to a pick 'em. I just don't see the Buccaneers on the same level as the Packers. So overall, I'd say the Packers do win this by. I mean, I think they're gonna win it, and normally when a team just based on how NFL scoring works, they win by more than 1 or 2, normally by 3 or more. So I think the Packers will end up covering. For my next pick, I have the Washington football team +3 at the Giants. I don't know why they're not favored. Yeah, the Giants are at home, but this is they don't have fans. This is not really, even if they did, there's not much of a home field advantage. I'm just a little confused why they're not Washington football team isn't favored. I mean, it's not like it's like a LA team going to play a New York team. It's gonna be tons of snow. No, it's just a team that plays in the same region. This is a Washington football team that beat the Eagles. They've scored. They scored 17 points on a Ravens defense that has been absolutely killing teams. The Ravens held the Browns that offense to 6 points. They held the Bengals recently to 3 points, and the football team was able to come out and score 17. This is like a team they're not a good team. They're not a good team, but they're better than the Giants. Come on, why are the Giants favored by 3 points here? Give me the 3 points. That's a field goal. Football team will win this outright anyway, in my opinion. And yeah, if they lose, it'll be by a field goal or less. So yeah, football team here +3. That's an easy pick for me. For my next pick, I have the Los Angeles Rams -3 at the 49ers. This is the 49ers team that just got absolutely mauled and blown out by the Dolphins last week. I don't know why it's only a 3-point spread when the Rams are coming in at 4-1 and their offense is looking great. They have the best point differential in the entire league. And they lead the league in sacks. So I just think that this Rams team is definitely the better team, and they'll win by more than a field goal in my mind. So that's my third pick. And then my final pick, it's a little bit of a risky one. I mean, it depends on how you look at it. But it's the Lions -3. This is going to be a close game, I think, for the Lions and the Jaguars. It's two teams, only one win going head-to-head. But I do think the Lions will win this one outright. I think they're just a better team overall. The Jaguars should be 0-5. They should be 0-5. And the Lions have played some good teams pretty tough. They played the Saints pretty tough. They played the Bears pretty tough. The Bears are pretty average, but they're 4-1. And they beat the Cardinals, who I think we can all agree are still a good team. So I think this Lions team will end up winning by a field goal or more, and I think they'll cover. So that's going to do it for my Fortune 4 picks. And let's move into our final segment, the question of the episode. So for our question of the episode, Jack, my question to you is, who is the biggest threat to the Lakers' repeat title chances? You got the Clippers, you got the Heat again, you got the Bucks. They could still have Giannis, but you never know what's going to happen with the offseason. I mean, we'll probably ask this again as a question episode before the NBA season starts, but I'm going to do it right now after the season just ended. I'm gonna do a little bit of jumping the gun a little bit. Who is the biggest threat to the Lakers repeat? Who has the best chance to upseat them as the NBA champions?
Okay, so it's gonna be really hard to tell, especially like we haven't had anything in free agency yet. The off season's gonna start like picking up soon. Free agency hasn't started, so we'll see. You never know. So if I'm going realistic, I'd say, I'd go the obvious route where people would say the Heat again, but I really don't think that's the case. I think the biggest scare is probably the Clippers if they can play at their full potential, or a team like the Nuggets again. But I think some, less realistic teams, but teams that could very well, scare the Lakers a little bit. Mavericks and Celtics. I think the Celtics were destined for the NBA Finals. It would have gone to 7 games, I think, if it were the Celtics. And the Mavericks, they got Luka. Luka's going to be one of the best players of all time, in my opinion, by the time his career is over. If they can add a little bit or add more pieces in free agency, they're going to be an amazing team. But it really just depends. If that's trying to be more realistic, but you never know what's going to happen in free agency. Giannis says he's loyal, but we really don't know what's going to happen. He could go to the Heat for all we know. And that'd be crazy. He definitely would be the contender there. But you just never know. Free agency is going to be crazy, I think. There's going to be some good trades. And there's just so many question marks. We don't know what's going to happen with the Rockets. We don't know if they're going to be a contender again, especially after firing their GM. We don't know what's going to happen with a lot of teams, so it's going to be really fun to watch in free agency. I think the Lakers aren't going to make many changes. I think the only thing that could happen is they lose Rondo, if Rondo does decide to sign with another team, but we're most likely getting AD back. He says he wants to re-sign. We've still got LeBron. The Lakers can get better, but not by a lot, while a lot of other teams can get better by, a lot, in my opinion. The Heat can get a lot better. If they bring like a guy like Giannis in, teams are going to progress with younger talent. And the Lakers, their talent's probably not going to get any better because they're an older team than most. They can only improve a little bit. So it's just going to be pretty much the same Lakers roster against like a brand new, super team. And there's just so many question marks. I think maybe the Warriors, but I'm not going to keep rambling over here. We could talk about this for an entire episode, but it's just going to be fun to watch in the offseason. I think there's going to be a lot of teams that could shock the world. It just really depends on how this offseason plays out.
Yeah, it's really tough to guess now before like the draft and all that stuff goes down. So, but for now, just kind of making some shots in the dark. So for me, I'm gonna give you 3 picks. I'm gonna give you my most realistic pick. I'm gonna give you a surprise pick. I'm gonna give you my very surprise pick. So for my most realistic pick is, I think you all saw us coming to Clippers. Yeah, I mean with Kawhi and Paul George, it's hard to go wrong with that. I think they're still definitely a threat to the Lakers, and I think they still have, they've got a couple guys going to free agency. But I think they could definitely still improve maybe this offseason. I think they may make a move. And, yeah. And then my surprise pick is the Heat. But this is a surprise because I say the Heat if they sign Giannis. I don't think they will, but if they do, they'd be the number 1 candidate for me. And then my big surprise pick is, it might not be that big of a surprise, but I think to a lot of people it might be the 76ers. Because I think they were without Ben Simmons in the first round. It was tough for them. Celtics are still a really good team. I think I'm gonna make a really bold prediction here. Now, hear me out. We still have to see what happens in the offseason, but I'm just gonna say this right here, right now. Doc Rivers will unite this team together. He'll bring the team together. He'll bring Simmons, Embiid, Harris. He'll bring them all together. Maybe trade some guy. Maybe trade away like Horford or Harris for a pick or 2. And he'll unite them. I think the Sixers will win a championship in the next half decade. they'll win a championship in the next half decade. They'll either win in 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. They'll win in one of those years, or maybe multiple, maybe all of them. Who knows? That's my prediction here. Bold prediction from me right there. But I'm going to stick with that because I think Doc Rivers is a good coach. There's been some stuff going around him about him and Kawhi and stuff, but I still think he's a really, really good coach. And I think that their roster is Sixers roster is still loaded, and I say the 76ers will win a championship in the next half decade. So that's going to wrap it up for today's episode of the JBA On podcast. Hopefully you did enjoy. If you did enjoy, remember to show your support, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.